Late last year, the NESO report assessing the system costs of delivering the Clean Power 2030 plan assumes a carbon price of £147 per tonne of CO2. That's the highest in the developing world, and I understand that it's £60 per tonne higher than the assumption that your department is working to. So given your reliance upon the independence of NESO in the recent past, which assumption is your department working to?
I can write to you on the specifics around the carbon price. I think the important thing on the NESO report is what it shows about the potential for lower bills. I know you had Finton before your committee, but I can write to you in detail the carbon price.
Okay, assume that carbon price is is accurate. Assume that's the one that bears out in reality. What's your assessment, given that businesses are hurting? Given that in your opening words at the start of this session, you said that businesses pay the price if we get energy policy wrong. Your assessment on the extent to which that carbon price would hit businesses, jobs, investment?
Well, I'm not going to just endorse these assumptions in the way that you are suggesting. But what I am going to say to you is that we can definitely achieve 2030 clean power in a way that is good for business. And if you think about the response of industry right across the board to this document that we produced in December, whether it's in manufacturing or whether it's in the electricity sector or in gas, there is actually wide endorsement of this plan. And the reason there is endorsement of this plan is because people have been crying out for a framework and for certainty, and that is what we're providing.
We see a lot of levies applied to one side of energy rather than the other. The government is pushing heat pumps, right? Businesses regularly cite to me that electricity prices are one of their biggest inhibitors day to day in terms of running costs, but also future investment plans. Do you agree that energy market reform is something the government should aspire to?
Absolutely.
Electricity market reform.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you talking about where levies are?
It would include where levies are applied, but also perhaps broader reform of the electricity market.
Well, look, that is definitely something that we are embarked upon, and I covered it earlier, and these are difficult questions. Look, on the issue of electricity prices, I think this is the potential, both for business and for families, of clean power by 2030, which is giving some certainty to business and others, giving that security that, frankly, they haven't had for a very long time and that I've referred to. I think, and I know the committee has looked at this issue around rebalancing. I mean, these are complex issues. The principled case is completely understandable, which is that you want to make electricity cheaper. Whether it's to do with families or businesses, we have to find a way to do it in a way that is fair and doesn't impose problematic burdens. And I believe, Chair, that you referred to the Nesta report on these issues. That's an interesting contribution to the debate. So this is definitely something that we are actively looking at, but I'm sort of being cautious about this because I think in all of these decisions, it goes back to my answer to Luke, in all of these decisions, we've got to make sure that we don't have unintended consequences.
I want to, for avoidance of doubt, draw everyone's attention to my register of interest. I was formerly employed by a company that make home heating equipment. But in relation to the target for heat pumps and the step change required to hit the government's target, and particularly given that in that industry, if you or I, our boiler breaks down and we call probably our plumber, they're the sort of consumer advocate for whatever technology we install. So gas boiler manufacturers don't conventionally have a direct sales relationship with a consumer. Therefore, we are reliant upon the advice of our plumber or gas engineer. How concerned are you, Secretary of State, at the the ability for us as an economy to deliver that step change in skills required, given that the typical age of a gas boiler installer is probably 50 plus, and they will very likely have retired from industry at the point that gas boilers are cessated from installation.
Look, I think you're right to raise this as a challenge, and I think it goes to sort of the more general challenge, which is to sort of, there's lively disagreement about the scale of where heat pumps can work and where they can't. But I think there is consensus that we're going to need a lot more heat pumps installed across the country. Look, I think this is doable. I think one of the things that we are pleased to have done is to be bringing in the clean heat market mechanism and to have worked with industry to overcome some of the concerns that they had over this, because it is now at least sort of coming in, and I think we're trying to found a new, because this only works if we kind of bring industry with us in this journey. And my fellow Minister Miatta Fahnbulleh has done brilliant work on this to sort of bring industry with us. We've got the heat pump investment accelerator from the previous government. And look, we are determined to work with the industry and indeed on work on training the workforce. I think this is absolutely doable, but it requires sort of massive attention, and it is something on which we are focused as a department.